Welcome back to Mets Daily, your new home for daily Mets content on YouTube. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio on all social media platforms. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and share the channel with your Mets fan friends and family. Smash that thumbs up right now. It helps us a lot, so give us that thumbs up. Comment below. And regarding your comments, tomorrow we will start reading the top 3 comments on this video in a mailbag segment beginning tomorrow. So today's Tuesday, January 28th. So Wednesday on a hump day, we'll read the best comments from the prior day on the next day's show. So make sure you do comment. And again, smash that thumbs up, subscribe, share. We appreciate your support. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm rocking that new bat sleeve hat. So fresh, BATSLV with the OMG pin. Now, I think of the Mets, I think it's time to move on from the OMG era, but it was a fun ride. So I do like rocking the pin. So shout out to my guy David for this clean bat sleeve. You got the sleeve for your bat. If you're a baseball player, they do some good stuff over there at Bat Sleeve. Well, let's get right into it here with the latest report on Pete Alonso. I mean, listen, I think we're all sick and tired of hearing his name, and now reportedly there's a chance that this goes into spring training, which I think we'll all lose our minds. I have no hair left to pull out. You guys might pull your hair out if we keep having to hear the name Pete Alonso. And according to Andy Martino of SNY, of course, Martino says it could be tough for the Blue Jays to match the top Mets offer, which was 3 years, $70 million. So it could be tough for the Blue Jays to top the Mets Alonso offer. So can they get beyond 3 years, $70 million? Martino says it's tough. But at this point, who knows? Because a week ago, they were advancing on talks. They were at the 10-yard line. Now it's going to be tough for them to top the Mets offer. Let's keep it real in this situation. Pete Alonso's been a great Met. He's had a great Mets career. You know, he obviously does make the team better. But now it's awkward. In my opinion, it has now become so awkward where bringing him back feels strange for the clubhouse, for ownership, for the GM. After the comments on Saturday from, Steve Cohen at Amazing Day, it now feels strange to think about a future with Alonso with the Mets. I don't know how else to put it. Do I think he would help? Would I like him back in some sense? Yes. But at this point, I feel like a lot of us, some of us at least, have moved on and are thinking about other options. And I think that's where the Mets need to be at right now. Like, they need to pivot. And if he decides to come back and it's spring training, he's still not signed, and he takes your deal, fine. But at this point, I think the Mets should be all in on figuring out who else their first baseman will be, whether it's Mark Vientos, whether it's internally, or someone else, which I'll get into next. But, the Mets can't keep waiting. They can't sit on their thumbs and wait for Pete Alonso and what he's going to do. They got to plan the future of their roster. We are a couple of weeks away from pitchers and catchers, and this is still not solved. It's got to get solved at some point, but the Mets can't sit around and pretend like he's their first baseman, because right now he is not. Could there be a trade? We talked about Spencer Torkelson as a potential option. What about Ryan Mountcastle? According to Pat Ragazzo, my guy of Sports Illustrated, he says that the Mets have reportedly discussed a trade for him. They've checked in with the Orioles on a potential trade for Ryan Mountcastle. Now, Mountcastle is an intriguing player. Now, he's mostly a first baseman. He's also played some outfield. Let's take a look at the numbers here for Ryan Mountcastle. He had somewhat of a down year in 2024. Here's where I'm worried about Mountcastle. 271, 13 homers, 63 RBIs, 30 doubles. That OBP. He does not walk a lot. Like, when your OBP is only 37 points higher than your average, that means you don't have the greatest plate discipline. And that's where my concern is here if the Mets did trade for Ryan Mountcastle. Here's a couple reasons why he is intriguing, though. If you look at the numbers, I got the Baseball Reference numbers here. This was once a guy who hit 30-plus homers, a guy that did hit for power, that did drive in runs. So, he has had a point of his career. He's never been a great walk guy, but he has had a point of his career. He does have power. He will only be 27 in February. He's only getting paid $6.7 million in 2025, and then in 2026 he has another year of arbitration. So you get Ryan Mountcastle here for 2 years for pretty cheap. He plays first, but also has the flexibility to play outfield, where if someone goes down to the outfield and he's got to play, you do have that option. So Mountcastle is a name to watch for. Now, what would it cost? Who knows? I don't think it would cost several top. It would probably cost, maybe a top prospect and another mid-level prospect. So Torkelson's an intriguing name. The rumor was that the Tigers want 2 top 15 prospects, which seems a little crazy for a guy that's regressed. We don't know what the Orioles would want for Ryan Mountcastle, but man, that's a name to think about here, and a guy who at one point has had some pop, and he's still in the prime of his career. There's no reason a fresh start in New York. Maybe that means he gets back to a 25, 30 homer guy. So I am intrigued by Ryan Mountcastle. I would not hate that move, and the Mets should consider it. Mountcastle maybe playing some outfield because we don't know about Brandon Nimmo. Now, Brandon Nimmo has been an incredible Met. I think, if you're a Met fan, you probably love Brandon Nimmo, and I like Brandon Nimmo. I think he's beloved in that clubhouse more than Pete Alonso, more than Jeff McNeil. I think he's a guy who's been here a while who a lot of people do love in that clubhouse. I can't say the same about both Alonso and McNeil, but people like Nimmo. He puts on a smile. The emotion that he shows, we all related to in the playoffs. I was there when the Mets clinched that win in the first round. Brandon Nimmo cried. You saw him in second base crying, and it was an awesome moment. But listen, let's keep it real about Brandon Nimmo right now. He isn't 100%. He's still dealing with that plantar fasciitis. Now, he said on Amazing Day he's been able to work out. He's been able to hit. He's been able to do everything except for sprinting on it. Remember, Nimmo was hobbling around in the playoffs. He received a plasma injection in his left foot at the end of the season after he played through the pain. And in the second half, he struggled, man. He really, really struggled. Excellent first half, 815 OPS. But the second half, a 596 OPS. Clearly, he was not comfortable on that foot. And this is a guy who wants to be out there every day. But is he going to be able to be out there every day? I think the Mets are going to take it very easy here in spring training with Nimmo. I'd have a hard time seeing him playing much in spring training, which is fine with me. Honestly, I think playing in spring training is overrated. I don't love spring training baseball. I love that baseball's back, and if you're there and in the sunshine, but the actual games are tough to get through. But in terms of him playing, you're probably going to have to hold off to the season. Maybe he gets a handful of games in spring, but I'm a little bit worried here. Brandon Nimmo did have a declining season in 2024. The career low OBP of 327, and that's an important number for me with Nimmo because we know him as the guy who, will work counts to 3-2 all the time. He's the king of the running to first base on a walk. We saw him move to 3 in that order. He's an important piece because as of now, he's going to be one of the guys behind Juan Soto. We expect it to be Lindor, Soto, probably Vientos to have a righty there, and then Nimmo as of now, which means Nimmo might be the cleanup hitter. And you can't have a cleanup hitter who's not really getting on base, who's not hitting enough. He only hit 224. Yes, his OBP was 103 points higher, which he's accustomed to doing. And he did have 23 homers, which is second best in his career. And he did have 90 RBIs, which is the best in his career, which is, when you move to the 3 spot in the order, you're going to have more RBIs. But I worry about this being an issue with him this season, and it's a reason you want to have contingency plans in left field if Nimmo isn't going to play, like you see there, the 151 games. 3 straight years. A guy who's played earlier in his career with injuries has now played 151 plus games in 3 straight years. But the WAR declining, that OBP declining, it does concern me a bit, and it does concern me because finally we saw him steal some bases. In 2024, Brandon Nimmo stole 15 bases, which, yeah, that's not a lot. But when you look at his career, he's been known for essentially being afraid to steal bases. Like, he's great at running the first, but not great at running the other bases. He's fast. But now with plantar fasciitis, you can't imagine he's going to do much sprinting. You can't imagine he's going to improve upon that 15 bases. And when I've talked about on here, speed is so critical for the Mets and in the sport where they're, expanding the bases, they're changing the pickoff rules, they want you to steal. Nimmo's probably not going to be stealing now with this plantar fasciitis. So it could be an issue on defense. It could be an issue on the base pass. So there's a chance we see Brandon Nimmo's games cut down and maybe we see him more as a designated hitter. So as much as the Mets wanted to trade Starling Marte and get rid of that contract, there's a chance they got to keep Marte. There's a chance Jesse Winker's going to have to play some games out in left field. And the Mets are going to be flexible here because I do think this plantar fasciitis is going to be an issue here for Brandon Nimmo moving forward. But we'll see. We'll see about Brandon Nimmo. The Mets have also checked in, on a couple relievers. They are still in on the reliever market. They're checking in on a couple starters, but starters seem to not be the Mets' preference. But I expect the rest of this offseason to figure out the Alonso situation, maybe a trade here for Torkelson or Mountcastle, and then the Mets get another reliever to add to the pen. It's something we've talked about before. We'll talk about again this week. But let us know in the comments below. Do you think the Mets should trade for Ryan Mountcastle? Comment below. And are you concerned with Brandon Nimmo's injury? Remember, the 3 best comments in the comments below here on Mets Daily. We will read them on tomorrow's show. So give me the best that you got. Questions, a strong comment, a strong opinion, but give us some good questions to answer in tomorrow's mailbag right here on Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio on all social media. Again, smash that thumbs up right now if you're watching. We appreciate the support. Subscribe to the channel. We're over 800 through 3 weeks. Thank you so much for the support thus far. Jake Brown Radio checking out. We'll check with you tomorrow on a hump day right here on Mets Daily.